Hey there, Buckheads. Welcome back to another episode of Buck's Books. I am your host, Buck, and back there is my co-host and attorney, Beefton Duke. I think you can see him. So the first thing you may have noticed is you can clearly understand me and it doesn't sound like static. That is because I care about you. And I went and I invested in a $15 microphone from Amazon, from A Labs. So now you can really appreciate sort of just like the depth, of my honeyed tones. You're welcome. Today we're going to talk about, we're through Orctober, as you can identify, which means we are out of scary books. There will be more scary books in the future because most of what I read is scary books. This one is not, however, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. It is a book about minimalism, written by people who just call themselves the minimalists, which I guess if you're going to identify with the concept of minimalism, you want as minimalistic a title as you can get. So they pulled that off. I don't remember their names, but I'm going to, be referring to my Goodreads review here, so I'm sure they will be mentioned. It's called Everything That Remains, a memoir by the minimalists. Well, there you go. And the minimalists are Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, right? So, first thing you have to understand about this book, before we talk about the book itself, is that it was slammed in the reviews. Slammed. And I understand why. I completely get the impulse. I don't blame it. I, myself, enjoyed the book, despite what was wrong with the book. On Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars out of 5, which pretty high praise. Goodreads only goes up to 5 stars, but what you have to understand about the Goodreads ranking system is it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, because Goodreads wants you to assign it one of these 5 points up to 5, but the first one is didn't like it, and then 2 is it was okay, and then everything after that was good, which means technically all of them are good except 1. And I don't think that works, because I have read so many books that needed to be ranked less than 1 star. I think that Goodreads should expand into negative stars. And I think when you choose negative stars, the author of these books should have like some sort of shock collar or subdermal implant that hurts them. But that's a different video. For now, we should probably focus on the book that I advertised this video as, which is Everything That Remains, a memoir by the minimalists. I would have given it 5 stars if not for one thing, and that one thing is Ryan Nicodemus. He sucks, dude. He sucks so bad. And I'll explain to you why in excruciating detail, because that's what you came out here for. A lot of the reviews that I was reading about this book, we're just going to talk about their reviews before I even get to the book. That's how we're going to do this. A lot of them didn't buy that Milburn, who was the primary author, Nicodemus shouldn't have been on the bill, because he didn't write anything. Milburn wrote the entire book, and he spilled his guts doing the whole thing. He was really just like the Hemingway bleed on the page situation. That's what he did for the entire book. And whenever he got too close to having an authentic moment, whenever he talked about his alcoholic mother or leaving his life behind or his trauma or his weird self-loathing, whenever he was being serious about it, Ryan Nicodemus shows up and just makes like this really cringe middle school joke that sort of like implies he's gay or something. Like it's the kind of stuff that you want to hit him for. You want to, and like, if I feel that way, and I've never met the guy, can you imagine co-authoring a book with this guy, and his only role in the book that you've both written, you both have your names on the title of. You are sharing credit for your website and your book with this guy, and all that he's there is to serve as like your intrusive thoughts. He's an externalization of your horrible internal critic. Why? Why? I suppose it's the trauma, you know. This poor guy's just so beaten down that he thinks this is what he deserves. Milburn, con artists. They are absolutely con artists. Milburn has made a killing off minimalism, literally selling more of less. Now he gets to just travel around writing books about writing books and about how having sex with small town girls from Montana is beneath him. And just because he's locked in his hustle doesn't mean everything that he's saying is a lie, you know? And if everything he's saying is a lie, they are convincing lies. Like, he can write. He can turn a phrase. It trends purple, but who doesn't, you know? Anyone who is serious about writing as a craft is going to turn purple sometimes. And honestly, it's mostly in the eye of the beholder. So if you have somebody hanging around like Ryan Nicodemus, he's always going to tell you you're turning purple because he exists to criticize. That's the only thing he's bringing to the book, and it sucks. It made the book so much worse. Our boy is waxing poetic for the majority of the book, but the majority of the book was intended to be a memoir addressing his mental health issues, whether or not he realizes that they're mental health issues. I think he was just talking about minimalism and being sad, but like he's got some stuff going on. He should probably talk to a therapist or a priest or both. The minimalism turned out to be the only coping skill that he had because prior to that he was an addict and his addiction was work and drinking. He would go through both of them because mom drank heavy. No, mom was an alcoholic. In fact, it's where a lot of his trauma came from. And back to that Hemingway analogy, all you got to do is sit at the typewriter and bleed. It doesn't matter to me whether he cut himself for authentic or performative reasons. The blood is real. And even if the blood isn't real, I think this kind of takes us back to that phenomenon that surrounded A Million Little Pieces. You remember that? When none of us were sure if it was okay to lie to Oprah? Because the guy wrote this memoir, and he called it a memoir, but most of it was fictionalized. But, what he told was a story that was still true. Even if it was not true in that it happened to him, it was true in that it happened to thousands, if not, millions might be an exaggeration, but thousands upon thousands of people. Well, we can say millions over the years. Why not? So, it's still a memoir. And the story, the impact of the story, the fact that the story helped people, none of that was neutralized by the fact that he made so much of it up. That's what storytelling is, you embellish. That's the point of picking up a book. Otherwise, you would just be reading a textbook. And textbooks don't get you sober. Right? That's A Million Little Pieces. Never going to review that one. Because I remember not liking it that much. But that's subjective. That's neither here nor there. Point of the exercise was whether or not it was okay to lie in your memoir. I maintain it is. It's okay to lie if you're telling a story, especially for the purposes of entertainment or education. And everything that remains is both. So whether or not Milburn is making it up, I think it works. He's doing it for the right reasons, and that's plenty. And then, he's pouring his heart out. He's a capable writer. And he talks about how he's recalibrated his entire life in the service of advancing his writing. So if he's a good writer, and he's talking about the reason that he did it was so he could spend more time writing, mission accomplished. Even if it's a lie, that's credible, that's plenty. And then, so he'll finish this big chapter where he really just opens himself up on the page, and you're feeling for him. You're capable of empathizing with the guy, or at least sympathizing with the guy. And then his obnoxious friend shows up with these low-hanging fruit quips, denaturing any heartfelt expression that Milburn had been driving toward. And the jokes aren't even funny, and I think that's the worst part. I think that's the part that's most insulting and just denigrates us as readers. He's there to say, that was cringe. It's cringe that you said that. It's petty, and it's middle school, and it's got no place in a memoir about the dude's alcoholic mother. Nope. The dude's alcoholic mother, or the grief that followed her death. And because I yelled. That'll happen sometimes. I'm really surprised you're not used to it by now. I don't understand why he was there at all. Like, he added nothing to it and actively detracted from it. So maybe you can like pay for a premium edition of the book. Maybe it's like $10 extra to just have Nicodemus cut out of it extra. I would pay that if I, you know, bought the book. As far as the message couched in the trauma, simplification will change your life. And the book itself, it made me think about my own relationship with stuff and how I had accumulated more trinkets than I actually wanted. Trinkets and appliances. So I came back and I cleaned house because this is another one that I read while I was out and about on my left coast vacation when I was driving across the desert. Right now, dude? Just hold off for like 5 minutes, all right? When I was driving across Death Valley, and as I'm going, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get back and start throwing all my stuff away, you know? Because, like, I've never kept very much stuff. Most of this room, you can't see it. Well, you can see that I'm sitting on the floor, and that's by design. It's not that I'm very poor. Let me clarify that. I'm not super poor. I just bought this new $15 microphone. It's that this is good for your spine. Like, sitting on the floor. I read all of these books by, oh, sweet Katie. What the hell is her last name? Katie, the Load Scientist. That's not it. Katie Bauman! Oh, I knew we'd get there. Sweet Katie Bauman. And she has written all of these books that really spoke to me about how your body operates under loads, you know? So a lot of people with like back pain have back pain because they wear stupid shoes, you know, and they've been wearing stupid shoes for 20 years. And so the stupid shoes force their feet to go in a direction that's not natural to them, which the knees have to compensate for, which the hips have to compensate for, which the spine has to compensate for, and that's where the problem shows up. So I go hard for Katie. Like, I'm all in on whatever Kool-Aid she's serving. And she says, she's one of the ones who says sitting is killing you, and she's right. It is. Sitting's bad for you. I mean, sitting on the floor is not great either, as compared to standing, I suppose. But it's better than sitting in a chair because it's a very unnatural posture to sit in a chair. Sitting on the floor is, if there were no chairs, you know, for the first 2 million years that there was something resembling a human, we were just sitting on the floor. That's what we did. Or like laying on the floor. And it did great. Look, the dog doing the same thing. He's doing amazing. It's fine. And it aligns your body correctly. I don't want to hear it. It aligns your body correctly. You know, it like keeps your spine where it's supposed to be, keeps your sits bones where they're supposed to be. It improves your posture. It does all sorts of stuff that I will one day talk about in another book that's actually about this. But the book we're talking about is the minimalism book. So this is all to say I can afford a chair, and I choose not to have one. But most of the stuff that I do have is just like plants, because I like plants. And I have instruments, a few guitars, and I have some medieval weaponry and bows and arrows and stuff hanging around the house. And that's about it. That's all I really need. And the dog. The dog is the best $300 I ever spent. He's technically a possession, but also a friend. And also my attorney. So between all of these things, that's most of what I like keep. But even with that, I have been keeping too many things. I realized for example, the toaster. All the toaster does is sit on the kitchen counter and occasionally leak crumbs. I don't eat toast. He doesn't eat toast. I can't get him to eat bread. The dog's paleo. He doesn't eat rice. He won't eat bread. He won't eat carrots, interestingly enough. But any vegetable, any meat, cheese, he goes nuts for it. No reason for me to have a toaster, so I got rid of the toaster. I came home and I immediately threw the toaster away. Like, why would I... Counter space is always at a premium. I don't care how big your kitchen is. Why would I sacrifice that counter space that I could use for something else on an appliance that I use once every few months if I happen into some sourdough? And like, I don't generally even buy sourdough. So what, like, it asks too much. I have 6 butcher knives. I use 2 of them. No reason for me to have the other 4. Someone else can use the other 4. Or the garbage can use the other 4. And like, most of them aren't even sharp. So what are they doing? Are they decorative? I have 5 guitars. I had, as of the writing, I had 5 guitars sitting in my living room. And I played like 2.5. I have a beautiful J22 electric guitar. I have a full-size acoustic Fender. I have a Squier jazz bass. That's all I need. Like that's everything that I want to play. But then I also had a red electric guitar that I ordered from China for $89 10 years ago. And its fretboard is all gross and grimy with age. And it was so cheap it doesn't even have a manufacturer's name. And I had a 3/4 size acoustic with nylon strings, which is also brandless, that I got from the thrift store. And it sounds terrible. So why did I have these? Why did I have these for so long? Why would I continue to have these? I had the acoustic guitar with the nylon strings first, and then I went and I spent however many hundreds of dollars it wound up being. I know it was more than I'd normally spend on something, but I've been playing guitar for a while, and I decided to justify the expense of a Fender. So I bought a Fender acoustic, and then I put it in the rack next to the bad one, and then I was like, great, perfect, now I have 2. Why do I need 2? No one's ever, like... And if I ever play guitar with anyone else, neither of us are going to want to play that piece of crap. Like, I would not insult any of my friends by asking them to play it, and I would not embarrass myself by wailing on that. So I got rid of it. I took that, and I took the red one to the thrift store. I donated it to Goodwill. Someone else can have the same experience I had because I found it at a Goodwill, and now someone else can find it at a Goodwill, and then in 10 years they can give it back to a Goodwill, and the process can continue, right? So, and that's what this book in particular, Everything That Remains, made me realize, that there was no reason for me to keep those last 2 guitars. There's no reason for me to keep a lot of the things that were just taking up space in the house. I haven't watched TV on purpose in years. I watch TV with people. Like if I'm not a zealot about it. I understand why you'd suspect I would be, because I just said that thing about how sitting is killing you. But if somebody says, "Oh, I saw this great show. Do you want to watch it?" Yeah, let's watch an episode. Okay. You want to go see this movie? I'll see a movie, sure. I am into horror movies, as I'm sure you predicted. And I will get them occasionally, and I'll watch them. But if I'm alone in the house and I have time where I'm not at work or exercising or reading or hanging out with the dog or doing whatever the hell you want to call this, I'm not going to be like, oh, I should watch some TV. Like, that does nothing for me. I know I'm not going to want to do it. If I do it, I don't enjoy it. I feel like I wasted my time. Why have a TV in the house? To entertain? It's silly. Somebody else has a TV. Bring your TV. We can bring your TV. So, end of the day, the big message is, what is my life actually for, and what do I want to spend it doing? So, good book. Worthwhile book. I would read it. Walk in with a grain of salt. Keep in mind what I said. Don't listen to the haters. Ryan Nicodemus is included in the haters. Just edit him out of the book. You can do it yourself, in fact. If you just want to get like a Sharpie as you read it, and whenever he shows up, just like scratch him out, it will make the book 5 stars for you. And if you don't like what Josh Milburn is selling, you don't have to buy anything from him. This isn't actually about him. The memoir is about him, but the message in the memoir is not about him, it's about you. And it's a good one. Alright. That's enough for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked anything you heard here, give me a subscribe. That's really helpful. Also, the likes, they really drive up engagement. And I just, like, I gotta monetize, dude. I gotta break even. All right. Talk to you soon. Love you.